I want to welcome Jill Daly from the Israel Ministry of Tourism. Jill, I'm so happy that you could join me this morning because Gal Hanna was supposed to join us, but life got in the way and he got called off on another event or a meeting, and you graciously stepped in. So thank you. And rather than being in Toronto like Gal, you're coming to us an hour early from Chicago.
I am. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad that I was able to fill in for him and be with you today to talk about Israel. It's a country that I'm passionate about. I've worked for Israel for a number of years. Actually, I've been on staff for about 8.5 years with Israel Ministry of Tourism. So I'm really excited to be able to present and talk a little bit more about Israel today.
Wonderful. And you have a presentation. Now, this was Gal's presentation, so it might be fresh to your eyes. Anytime you want to share your screen.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and share the screen here. And let's see if I am, there we go. Okay, so, well, it is a pleasure to be here. As Lisa had mentioned, I am from the Israel Ministry of Tourism, and I have been with Israel for a number of years. And I'm new to using Gal's presentation, so I apologize if if I don't have it quite right. It's actually already automatically scrolling for me. So I'm not sure how to stop that function from doing. So we will just kind of go with it. But for those of you that are new to Israel and who have not been, I always like to start my presentations asking, and it's really hard now to do those on Zoom, is who has been to Israel before? So I know Lisa has been, and I'm hoping that some of you who are on the screen have been as well. I'm actually just going to kind of let this scroll through because I'm not sure how to stop it, and I do apologize for that. But so for those of you that have been and those that haven't been, Israel is a destination that we've experienced record-breaking tourism in the past. We hope that that will happen again as we go back to tourism post-pandemic. But there are a lot of things that are very positive right now, even as we are in the midst of the pandemic. We are seeing demand for Israel that people are booking for 2021, for 2022. So they're already looking to the future. And we have airlines that have been investing in the market. So Air Canada, as well as United Airlines, Delta Airlines, they all have flights that are going to Israel currently, and they are flying currently to Israel, along with El Al Airlines as well, the Israel airline. So what that means is it means that when tourism comes back, we don't have to wait for the flights to come back because the flights are already there. And those people are doing, those airlines are ready to fly already. And then just in terms of where we are with the pandemic in Israel right now, we did shut our borders rather quickly in March, which proved to be a very good thing. It allowed us to get a handle on the virus. We went to an immediate lockdown shutdown, and that we were able to open during the summer months to domestic tourism. And what that means to us here in the US, Canada, is that because we went into lockdown early, because we were able to open up again, it gave us the opportunity to put new standards in place that for travelers. So you'll see the hotels are a little different now. They have increased their cleaning. They have antibacterial gel throughout the hotel. And those that are used to that Israeli breakfast, it's a little bit different now. It's not the buffet style, however, same things, but in an a la carte type style. So we're still able to enjoy all of the amazing things in Israel. I mean, for myself, I'm a vegetarian. Israel has amazing food, and I love breakfast in Israel. I look forward to the salads and all of those kind of things, which I kind of think when I come home, why am I not making those for myself? But for some reason, I just do that when I'm in Israel. So, and then in terms of our national parks, the national parks have implemented an online system now where we can do all of our booking, we can do all of our payments on an online basis. Many of them are doing a system of timed entry. so that if you're there and you're going to some place like Masada, for instance, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but if you're going to Masada, you have the opportunity to have a wristband for the time that you're supposed to enter. So you could have a time to schedule of 10 a.m. That allows us to be able to control how many people are at the site at any given time, to allow for the social distancing and to allow for that many visitors to be able to come through in a safe environment. We did go into a second phase and a lockdown in the early September, and we are now starting to come out of that as numbers have been controlled again. So we're hopeful that we will be opening the doors to international tourism soon in the future. But until that point, they are continuing to ready the red carpet, so to speak, for you to come and visit. For those of you that aren't familiar with Israel and where we're located, we are located right on the Mediterranean. We're kind of in the cradle of the three continents there, and we're a very small country. So what that means to you as a traveler is you have the opportunity to see most of the country when you're there on a trip. I know for myself, traveling around the world, there's sometimes that you'll go to a location and you have the opportunity to explore, but it's pretty much one city, one area. You're not seeing the whole country. Where in Israel, you're able to see the entire country when you're there. In terms of our major cities, Jerusalem is our capital city. It is the birthplace of the three monotheistic religions. So it's really this encompassing area of so many things that you're able to see, and see so many melting pots of different religions that are coming together. I want to point out the Western Wall here. One of my favorite things about the Western Wall is that it's so important to both the Jewish faith, it's important to the Christian faith, and so many travelers go here and they want to put their prayers in the wall. So Lisa, when you were there, did you put your prayers and intentions in the wall?
I'm afraid I didn't. I did visit, but I might make a suggestion. I am not a pro, but on PowerPoint, if you go up to transitions in the menu bar across the top,
thank you.
You can hit none.
Thank you so much.
That might work. I could be wrong, but that might help. Or in the slideshow.
Okay, so we're going to try this again, and hopefully that it's not going to transition on me. So, and it is still going to transition in me. So, again, like I said, I do apologize for the transitions. I didn't realize that it was on here, so we're just gonna kind of go with it and see where we go from there. I think I might have caught it right now. So, but as I was saying, with Jerusalem and the Western Wall is one of my very favorite places. And I had asked if you had put a note in the wall. So many people put notes in the wall when they're there. And one of my favorite facts and one of my favorite things to say is that if you have been there, if you've put the note in the wall at some point, that it is still there in Israel. So when they fall out of the wall, they are carefully gathered together, and they are then buried on the Mount of Olives. So if you've been there before and your intentions were put into the wall, they are still there. But Israel, in terms of a destination in Jerusalem, like I said, it is the birthplace of the three monotheistic religions. And I'm so sorry, this just will not stop transitioning for me.
If you like, Jill, you could follow along and I can move the slides from my end.
You can try, but like I said, I keep changing it to on a mouse click, and it still is not allowing me to just do it on a mouse click.
Okay. So I'm going to try sharing mine.
Okay, we're going to try this again.
And from the beginning, slideshow. And I'm going to move forward to the Western Wall. And then hopefully, it'll work. So how's that?
Let's hope it looks good. Nope, it's still going.
Okay,
So,
it's the best view. Thank you. Yes.
so we will, what we'll do is we'll just continue to talk about it in general, understanding that the slideshow will just continue behind us. And for hopefully you'll be able to kind of follow along in terms of being able to see as well. So again, the Western Wall is one of the most amazing places in terms of visiting Israel. And as I mentioned, it is the birthplace of the three monotheistic religions. So what Israel as a whole, one of the things I think that make it so special is the fact that you have people coming from all religions, all cultures. One of my favorite times in Israel is my very, very first trip. And I think everybody says their very first trip is always the most amazing. I always say the second trip is, because you're actually not having to, you're taking time to relax and take in the sights and not hiding behind the camera the whole time. But as I stepped off the plane for the very first time in Israel, the thing that I still remember is there was a Jewish man that was standing there, and he had gotten off before me, and the emotion that he was going through, crying to be there, the joy, the emotion, it just touched me so much. And it kind of has always carried with me anytime that I've been in Israel, knowing that here I am in this wonderful place and being able to see all different parts of religion come together in one place. So as we kind of move on from Jerusalem, as spiritual as the city of Jerusalem is, as wonderful and as old as it is an amazing opportunity. There's the amazing city of Tel Aviv, which is just down the road. Tel Aviv is actually only about 50 minutes from Jerusalem. And I think that's one of the things that people kind of take in the most when they do visit Israel, is that when you have the opportunity to visit Israel, you'll see that geographically everything is so close together. You can see so many different things in that 10-day trip, in that 10-day itinerary. It's not far apart. I think so many people think of Israel in terms of the biblical times. So we think about what we've read, if we're Christian, if what we've read in the Bible, and the fact that that Mary and Joseph walked from here to here, or Jesus walked from here to here, and it took days. But you have to think of it in terms of they walked. Now we have the superhighways, we have the buses, the bus systems, we have the trains as well that you can take from place to place. But Tel Aviv as a city is a vibrant city. It's on the Mediterranean Ocean, and you have the beach there next to the high tech, next to the commercial buildings, all in one place. There's amazing markets to explore throughout. You have the Carmel Market, which is amazing. The Carmel Market is amazing, that you can walk through and try the different fruits and vegetables. And I know, I just want to kind of address real quick, we have a comment of, can we make the screen bigger? We're trying actually to keep it from transitioning. I apologize, this was not my presentation originally, so I'm not sure in terms of every time we click for it not to transition, it still transitions automatically.
I can try one last thing.
Excuse me, yes, can you try the view mode? The view mode, use present views. I think it's, you don't see the different function up the screen. Exactly. I think it's a view, yes. Thank you very much.
No, it's still transitioning. What I'm going to do is,
yes, okay.
I apologize to everyone. This was Gal's, and he knew exactly how to use it, and Jill has stepped in to help us out. I have an older copy of it. I'm hoping that I can pull it up and get rid of the transitioning for you.
But the last view was excellent. The last view was really the view mode where all the screen, with the exception of the speaker.
Animation, no, transitions was none.
The last view was perfect.
Yes, we know that, but we can't get it from transitioning. It keeps on moving forward on us, which is what we're trying to eliminate. And so what I'm going to try and do is share my screen again and see if it works. And put on.
Yes.
No, it'll transition, and that's the problem. So we'll try.
Wow. I don't know what is transition, but what you mean with transition, but sorry. So it
automatically.
Sorry?
It moves forward on its own.
But it's okay. Now it's okay. I mean,
All right.
yeah, it's wonderful.
So what we're going to do is we'll just continue to talk about Israel in general, knowing that you're going to have these transitions and we might be a little bit behind as we're catching up. But like I said, Tel Aviv as a destination, it is the city that never sleeps. The joke is always a little bit that it's a combination for those understanding here in the US of New York and Miami. If they had a baby, this is Tel Aviv, because it's on the beach, it's vibrant, there's things happening all the time. Whether it is a beach party, whether it is in the restaurants, whether it's in the markets, that type of thing. And then moving north to the Galilee. The Galilee is you have the beautiful green and the lush forestry in the Galilee alongside the lake there. So many people, I think, when they think of Israel, they automatically think that they think of it as brown, desert, gray, and it's not. It's actually, depending on where you are, very, very vibrant. The Baha'i Gardens that you see here, located in Haifa, which is right on the coast. And I know that Lisa mentioned that many of her travelers are cruise ship travelers. So if you are coming on a cruise, you have the opportunity. There's two places that you will dock, either in Haifa or Ashdod. And Haifa, you have the opportunity to see the beautiful Baha'i Gardens. It's a great location to be able to also go into the Galilee and see the Galilee. Where Ashdod, if you dock there, it's great to be able to see Jerusalem, to be able to see the Dead Sea, and to be able to explore in that direction as well. So, but again, as I said, it is a small country. So if you only are docking in Haifa, you very easily can drive from Haifa down to Jerusalem.
Sorry, but the Dead Sea, it's near Jerusalem, not near Haifa.
That is correct. And as we had mentioned before, the slideshow is automatically transitioning. So
Okay. Sorry. So, yeah. I understand what you mean with transition. Okay, that.
Yeah. So it's automatically moving forward before we can speak about everything. So, so as I mentioned, Haifa is in the north, along with the Galilee there. You have the Sea of Galilee that if you're a Christian traveler, if you're wanting to visit and be able to walk in the footsteps of Jesus and to be able to visit the different places of Jesus's miracle in his ministry, you can do that along the shores of the Sea of Galilee. You can also do, if you're interested in whitewater rafting, the more adventurous sports, you can do that on the Jordan River, as well as Jeep tours in the north. So no matter what kind of traveler you are, what you're looking for, Israel offers that for you. If you're going and looking for that religious connection, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, or any other religion, you can do that and experience that in Israel. If you're looking for just the history, the archaeology, the culinary, you can experience that as well. But then moving south to the Dead Sea region is you have the Dead Sea. Now, this is great for me. I am a very pale Irish person that being able to be in the Dead Sea, I will tell you, you will not burn. The UV lights are different. The UV rays are different here, and it will keep your skin from burning. It is the lowest place on earth. So if you're looking for the spa experience, the Dead Sea is the place to be able to float in the Dead Sea. I hear from people all the time that, oh, I won't float. I promise you, you will float. Everybody will float in the Dead Sea. Another little tip I'll give you, don't shave. Men and women, don't shave before you go, because when you go into the sea, it will every little nick that you have. Actually, even just driving into the region. But here in the south is where you're going to see more your desert, your Negev. It's going to be your browns, that type of thing. You have the opportunity to float. You can cover yourself in mud and just take a day of relaxation while you're there. And then moving just past that is right there is Masada. And I mentioned Masada at one point as one of our national parks. It's King Herod's palace in the desert. It was a fortress, and it's the place of the last Jewish stronghold against the Roman soldiers. It has the fascinating history. You can either take a cable car up, or if you are very adventurous, you can walk the snake path. If you are that adventurous, I really do recommend that you can do the snake path in the morning and be there for sunrise. And it's a beautiful sunrise over the region. The only way, unfortunately, to do that is if you're going to be walking up the snake path. The other way that you can get to the top of Masada is there is the Roman ramp, which is on the back side. So if you have somebody that likes a little bit of adventure, a little bit of activity, but can't maybe think about walking that whole hike up the mountain on the snake path, the Roman ramp is a great option for you to do as well. And then moving a little bit further south, in our southernmost city is Eilat. It is the city on the Red Sea. It is a beautiful coastal beach kind of town vibe. If you're a scuba diver and you want the opportunity to see the coral reefs or scuba dive, here's an opportunity that you're able to do that. It's a great place for relaxation. They have beautiful coral reefs, the dolphins that you can swim with as well. And this is just located, like I said, and very much it's the southernmost point. So, one of the things that I keep kind of reemphasizing is Israel is such a small country. You can literally drive from the top of Israel to the very south of Israel in about 7 hours. So for me, I live in Chicago. My family's from Pittsburgh. I could actually drive all of Israel faster than I could go back to visit my family. So you have that opportunity to be able to do that as well and see that as well. And then I think that's where he has, and again, like I mentioned, the dolphin reefs, the scuba diving, and the coral reefs with the dolphins. You can find that all in Eilat, the southernmost city. So, and a lot of times we talk about the hikers to the Appalachian Trail here in the States. You can also walk the Pacific Rim on the West Coast. They have the Israel National Trail that will take you from the very northern part of Israel, the Golan Heights, down to Eilat. So if you are somebody that really would like to be able to walk the full length of Israel, you can do that. There's also in the Galilee, the Gospel Trail, as well as many other trails throughout the country. So, and I apologize. Like I said, I'm jumping in a little bit late in terms of looking at it and didn't realize that there was all the automatic transitions, but I also want to be respectful to timing of everything, that if you have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer questions. In terms of just talking a little bit about what you'll experience for the hotels, we have all levels of hotels, from the 5-star hotels in Israel, the Waldorf Astoria, the King David, down to your 3-star, more affordable accommodations. Also the kibbutz experience, you can do that as well as Zimmers, which Zimmers are similar to the B&Bs here. So there's all different levels, no matter what you're looking for as you're putting together a trip. I would say for an average trip, 10 days is really the best. It gives you the opportunity to see the most of the area of Israel. You'll feel like when you've left that you really have a better understanding and that you've seen just about everything. And in terms of pricing, it really depends on the level of hotels that you're looking at, and those type of things. So does anybody have questions? You're free. I encourage you to use the chat. You're more than welcome to ask any questions you have. As I mentioned before, I am here for Gal Hannah. Gal is our director in Toronto. So we do have an office in Toronto as well as 4 offices here in the States. I'm based in Chicago. We have an office in Atlanta, in LA, and then we have a regional office in New York as well as a headquarter office in New York as well. And one of the questions is, what are some of the most common vegetarian food in Israel? Everything is fresh. One of the things that I love about Israel is they really don't import any kinds of fruits and vegetables. So anything that you're eating, it's fresh. We have this farm to table movement that everybody's talking about now. That's actually not a movement in Israel. It's been something that has been part of Israel forever. So whether you're looking for, the fresh vegetables or anything like that, to these amazing dishes that as I mentioned, you have people coming from all over the world. So their culinary skills are all kind of intermixing and meshing together, and they're creating these amazing culinary experiences. So for those that are vegetarian, Tel Aviv in particular is one of the vegan capitals of the world in terms of having vegan foods. In terms of recommendations for specific restaurants, my favorite thing is it doesn't matter where I travel, I love street food. I love the opportunity to go to the local market and the local stand and get a falafel. That you can just load it with the fruit, with the vegetables, the hummus, the tina, and anything like that. There's a great deli that I love in Levinsky Square that it's just, they'll pack on all of those vegetables that you love and anything like that.
Before we go, I do want to say, Jill, I'm so grateful that you were able to jump in and help out. And for everyone that was a little perturbed about the PowerPoint presentation, I will be putting this on YouTube, so you could always revisit it again and see it. And I apologize, I need to learn how to remove that automatic play. I was on my iPad at the same time Googling how to do it, and I just couldn't figure out how to turn that feature off.
So yeah, and I wish I could. I mean, I thought I had it with the no click, but we'll see. It's the power of technology right now. I think we're all in that kind of realm of just using it, and these Zoom calls. Who would have thought we'd all be on Zoom even a year ago from now? So but it's a pleasure to be able to connect that way. It gives us the opportunity for connection, to be able to talk, and I really encourage you, if you do have questions, reach out to Lisa. Lisa is happy to answer. She has a resource in Gal and me as well. We're happy to answer those questions for you and do anything that we can for you to understand a little bit better Israel as a destination.
And I have to agree about the time period. I would think that for Israel, there's just so much to see, despite the fact it is such a small country, that I don't think a week would be enough. I really don't. I went with a travel agent's tour, so they really packed it in. And I reached out to someone I know in Tel Aviv, and I shared the itinerary with her, and she's going, "It looks good, but I think it's a little too busy." And I thought, yeah, you're not with the audience they're going after. It can never be too busy. We just saw so much. They kept us going. And all I could think of is, what haven't I seen? I want to go back. And prior to the pandemic, I was working on taking a group of people to Israel for 2021. And personally, I can't wait to go back. And I'm looking to get that going again, restarting that group. And, maybe 2022 this time, I don't know, but it's definitely something I'll be working on. And I'm not sure if you saw in the chat, someone was asking about any flights from the UAE to Israel. I noticed that they have commenced.
They are. So with the signing of the Abraham Accords, which is peace agreements in between UAE, Israel, Bahrain, there are flights that are now starting. So it is a great opportunity. I always recommend to people, do a combination. If you're looking to go and you're already going over there, and if you have the opportunity to stop in the UAE first and then continue on to Israel, that's a great option for you. If you're there and, another one of the countries to, you can do that as well. So those flights are now starting, and that there will be the opportunity for citizens to be able to travel between Dubai and Israel, and then Israel and Dubai. In terms of which airlines specifically, I can get back. I'm not exactly sure. I believe that El Al is actually one of the airlines flying. Air, I believe, is flying, but please, I'm not absolutely positive, and I would be happy through Lisa to be able to get back to you to be able to give you the airlines themselves. But even just a little bit of research, you'd be able to find those, because they are starting to fly. And then there was another question too, is what month would be better for visiting Israel? And that's always a hard question. I can tell you my personal favorite. I love going in the spring. March to May is a beautiful time. Everything is lush, everything is green, it's blooming. There isn't really, in terms of weather, it's a great opportunity. The summer months are so unbelievably hot. So if you love that, great time to go. I'm not one of those people, but I can tell you too, January and February, which you wouldn't typically think, it's going to be a little bit chillier. You might be able to get you might get rain, you might get snow in Jerusalem, but I mean, snow in Jerusalem is very rare. I mean, Lisa's from Toronto, I'm here in Chicago. I mean, we're used to the cold. I mean, we're used to these things. But it really, I've been there in January with groups, and we've still been able to tour and do everything and be able to see everything, and really not be very much affected by the weather. So
I was just there in January. I was very, very fortunate that I had an opportunity to travel in 2020, and I did go to Israel. I packed one packable down coat, which I wore infrequently. I put it on from time to time, and you're out in an amphitheater and it's open, it's wide open to the water, and that it gets a little cooler. But I never had to bundle up or wear gloves or a scarf. I had that light packable down. By the time I got to Eilat, it was like that thing was in the suitcase.
And it is.
And it was surprising. I'm not, I may be someone from Toronto. I hate the cold. Okay, I don't like cold. And when I got to the Dead Sea, I said, there's no way I come all the way over to Israel and not go in the Dead Sea. It's not happening. I'm just going to have to bite the bullet, go on in. I went in. It was so lovely. I was at no point cold. The temperature was quite comfortable. I was very surprised.
It is. It's a wonderful, one of the things I will say about Israel, and even in, like I mentioned, my favorite time of the year is the spring. And I mean, the fall is beautiful as well, but dress in layers, just a shawl or just a sweatshirt or something like that, that you can kind of take off throughout the day. Like Lisa, when I've been there in January, I rarely do I pull out that big bulky coat, because it's not needed. I will say I was there one time in Jerusalem when it was snowing. It was the littlest bit of flakes, and the Israelis, whom I love, were all panicking, and they're like, I was staying in Tel Aviv and had to take the bus, and they're like, you need to get back, it's snowing. I'm like, this is nothing, so I mean, really, in terms of the relative, in terms of what we're used to, that I would say, I wouldn't worry so much. It's beautiful weather there.
And another thing, now this is a a personal opinion here. I love traveling in the shoulder seasons, and the off season. And for me, going in January was perfect. There were some lineups, as you will find anywhere, but all I could say to myself was, this is the best time to go, because these lineups were small. The weather was just so manageable, so comfortable for running around, checking things out. You never got overheated. You weren't in long lines. So while it might be prettier to go in the spring, which I would love to experience, don't knock going off season.
I absolutely agree with that. So, and I know I want to be respectful to everyone's timing with this. Marie, I know that you asked if there's any great books to recommend. I'm not sure exactly in terms of what you mean in terms of books, but to find out more information about Israel, I mean, you can use our website. It's israel.travel. Our website has a lot of great information in terms of all the different places within Israel, the sites, and to learn more about it. And we're really excited that as of right now, the launch date is December 20th. We will have a brand new Christian website that will be coming out on December 20th as well. So I encourage you to use those. We do use the social media channels of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It has a lot of different great information for you.
Oh, your Instagram page is great. I follow that one. The pictures are amazing. The photographers you use are just amazing.
We're very fortunate. There's some very, very talented photographers that we use. So
it's kind of my first major. So when I went onto your website, I was going, whoa, onto the Instagram account. I mean, whoa, these are some really beautiful images. So
thank you. So,
but excuse me, I came a couple of minutes later. Which is your connection to Israel? Are you working tourism or?
So I'm sorry for those that were late.
Me, I came later.
That's okay. For those late in joining, I'm Jill Daly. I am the director for the Israel Ministry of Tourism. I'm based in Chicago, so I'm here in the U.S. Gal Hanna, who is our director in Toronto and oversees all of Canada, works closely with Lisa and just wasn't able to join at the last minute. Something came up, so he had reached out to me. So basically my position is that we want to promote tourism to Israel. We want you to have the opportunity to go visit, experience. It's a beautiful place, beautiful culture, and that's where I'm from.
Okay. I know very good Israel. I'm Jewish. I live in Germany, but I have family and a lot of friends in Israel. I know Israel very, very good. And I would recommend when especially as a woman or a young woman or old woman, if somebody wants to go alone, it's wonderful to go to a hostel. You will never stay alone. You will know people from all over the world, and you will find somebody that you will go together. So you'll never stay alone when you go to a hostel. No hotel. If somebody wants luxury and so, then okay, go to a hotel. But it's a nice, independent on age. Also, young people, a young lady and older lady. I know that my daughter went to a hostel, and I know other young ladies that go to always to a hostel, and they never stay. It's very funny. They are organizing party and fire. I don't know what at evening, and it's very funny. It's much more interesting as with a travel agency. You can do what you want, and it's also very cheap. Very, very. You can live very cheap. Also, when you don't need to save money, it's nicer to live. I think to live so if you like so, especially when somebody go alone. Then
absolutely, and I do think Israel as a destination is one that you can feel very confident in terms of being able to travel. I know myself when I travel, when I visit friends in Israel, I have no problem walking at night by myself through Tel Aviv or anything, because I do definitely feel very safe. So I do encourage you, whether you're going with a group, whether you're going as an individual, you really can feel very comfortable, and you will. Israelis are wonderful. They want to make friends. They want to talk to you.
Exactly.
You'll be sitting in a cafe, and they will strike up a conversation. So
exactly. You're very open and friendly, and you will never stay alone, really. If you are also open, and if you speak some English or German or some language, you will always, if you speak some foreign language, you will always find a way to communicate, especially with English, but also with German, with French, and so on. But there are people that are born in families that came from Europe, and their grandma or somebody come from Poland, from Russia, from France, from so, and the people, normally they speak a lot of four or five languages. So because of this mixed family and emigrated some time and so
They
on.
do.
This is also exciting that you can, with any language you can come in touch with people. It's fascinating. Israel, it's a dream.
It is.
I mean,
So again,
Jerusalem
thank
and
you. Thank you. I appreciate everybody here who joined. I appreciate your comments. I will let Lisa kind of wrap us up. But I'm happy that I was able to join you today.
Well, thank you once again, Jill. Much appreciated. I'm so happy you were able to step in for Gal, and it was a pleasure meeting you.
It was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll let you go. I know you're busy, and I'll just wrap up with everyone to say that Israel has something for everyone. I found when I was there, one thing I believe about in travel is I don't know what I don't know, and that applied to Israel too. There was just so much I learned by going over, and people from the world over, multicultural, people from all over were all there getting something out of their trip, and it was wonderful to see. It was just an amazing trip, and I was just sad to leave because I was only there for about 10 days, and I thought there's just so much more I have to see, despite the fact we hit the ground running. So if anyone has any questions about Israel, you can always reach out to me, and if I can't answer them, I will reach out to Gal here in Toronto or Jill in Chicago. So I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your day. Eventually, this is going to make its way onto YouTube. YouTube isn't all that fast when I'm involved, but it should be ready by tomorrow, and everyone can revisit it if you like. So I want to thank everyone once again for joining us. And just for those that might be interested, next week is Ireland.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Toda rabba. It's thank you on Hebrew. Toda rabba.
Toda rabba.
Thank you.
Toda rabba.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.